You know, a real life example, I used to study with Todd Zimmerman, who's a beautiful human, does sound healing, does some shamanic practices, holotropic breathwork. He was a Christian Scientist for a long time. And once during a bike ride with friends, he hit a rock, physically flew, landed in not the best position. EMS came and he said, guys, I'm a Christian Scientist. You're legally permitted to examine me because you have to, but don't tell me what you find. And he had to keep saying that. And eventually, you know, you could see by their facial expressions it seemed serious, but they didn't say anything. And he just laid there with, you know, whatever was initially broken or punctured or whatever. And he said after, you know, what felt like half hour, 45 minutes, he got up and he was completely fine. And I really love that story because, you know, we never know when that pop quiz will come. And maybe one of your viewers, maybe the 214th person to watch this video, will be offered a scenario with somebody close to them within the next 2 to 3 months where they have that pop quiz. And maybe they're away from telecommunications, maybe not, maybe it's dire and they can't wait for the medical chopper to arrive, who knows? And they'll be really forced with that pop quiz to apply this stuff. And so if you think about priorities in life, it feels like a very high priority to learn magic to a sufficient degree, defining magic as a science of applied consciousness, because it is incredibly useful. And while, you know, manifesting things like cars and jobs and raises and boyfriends and girlfriends and all that is, you know, great ways of enhancing life, and feeling good and shifting away from emotional reactivity is nice. And if you really, really look at it, you know, most people can afford to get health insurance, I think. Most people who can afford it wear clothing they like. Most people can afford it, eat healthy. But, you know, we wear seatbelts and we take care of ourselves. And I'd like to offer that the more you understand magic, the more you realize it is necessary to build your skills as a magician or sorcerer or wizard or Kabbalist or whatever word one would choose. Because it is so powerful, it is the most powerful thing out there. To be kind of serious for a sec.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that story is interesting. I believe too, I think what magic, for me studying it is important to understand, like how your mind works, challenging your belief systems, how you view reality, giving yourself, and the most important fundamental thing for me is how you operate in belief, because you're giving yourself no chance. Now, because my very amazing cousin is a what is he, a heli paramedic or something, he would argue do a first aid course. So I think
both,
that,
you know?
but the yin yang is both. You know what I mean? Like that's exactly what the mastery is of the Shaolin monks. They have the mastery of body, you know, and mind. And you need both. You need to be able to use the tool, but also with the thought. And and you start with the thought, but you don't have the tool, you know, I think that we're moving to a possibility where thought influences to a degree that we don't understand. And I'm all for that. And then also to using the physical tool, because that's where we're starting. And I think that that's also our process of becoming human, of like graduating each stage, right? We're going each stage, we're kind of taking off the training wheels, right? You kind of see this blip of a miracle or something like that. And Wayne Dyer talks about a few where the same scenario where he had to help somebody up this like narrow corridor, and all of a sudden there was a big group of people and this guy couldn't make it. There was something wrong with him. He couldn't bend his back. I don't know. So he's like, okay, just come on my back. Wayne Dyer puts him on his back. And then he's just about to get knee surgery. He had one bum knee. Now he has another bum knee. And he's like, I felt my knee was about to go out. You know, he's just like, but I had to put this guy on my back. It was like a circumstance. And he's like, I heard this voice say, just keep going. I kept going. My knee didn't break out. I was scheduled for surgery in like a month or two, and it just healed my knee. But I felt like this energy, the super energy, come up in an extraordinary moment. So it's fascinating how, like, you know, we've kind of got these two worlds, and I think that that's what we're living in, is this balance of the yin yang. You've got the spiritual, you got the material, etheric, and things like that, and we're navigating both those realms. And we're doing it through consciousness, and then we can view the feedback that we're getting. So, you know, when we train, or when we do a meditation, or when we observe a reality, but if you don't entertain the idea that you couldn't heal yourself, there would be no possibility. What if you could? You know, it's an interesting thought, but also then moving forward. And I wanted to, moving forward with just like doing a practical thing, if your body's in danger, with the holotropic breath work, what was that guy's name? I wanted to write that down.
Todd Zimmerman.
Todd?
Todd, yeah, he's in Saratoga, California, near Los Altos. Really great human. He's on Facebook. If people contact me, I'm happy to look into referring them. He's a really, really skilled guy, very kind, very sweet.
Yeah, because that's a great. And I wanted to ask, you were there? Do you know what was actually wrong with him? Like, do you know what it was? And
I wasn't there. It happened a long time ago.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I know that Sadhguru, he has a TED talk about sitting there in India, and he has this awakening, and then he has this experience where he knows he can kind of access the realms that we're talking about, and then he breaks his ankle or something. He breaks his leg, and then he heals it. And he says this in his TED talk. And so I can't confirm if it's true or not, but I can say that that's a wild story, and I'm interested in the possibility of learning that skill if there is one.
Yeah. So Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches workshops. I believe his method would work for this stuff. William Bankston does as well. I think Bankston teaches fewer. I took Bankston's workshop and it worked. And what they both have in common, they use different languaging techniques, explanations, is going back to our very beginning of using your conscious observation to see reality as you want it to be. And say you learn first aid, as you're walking for the kid and going for it, you hold in visualization. Or for your massage therapist, you do energy work and intention while you're working on the person's body. And so, yes, first aid, and you can do them simultaneously. Not like, let me zap you for 30 seconds, and if nothing happens, then I'll put on a Band-Aid. Like, as you're reaching for the Band-Aid, you can parallel process and see them as healed.
Yeah, well, I did 2 of Dr. Joe's as well. And the stories that came out of there were incredible. And really the most fundamental core belief of that is you can heal yourself. And the biggest challenge of where the illness can come in sometimes is, Dr. Joe will phrase it as like accepting the death sentence of the doctor. Somebody tells you something, now that belief is planted. Now there's a belief that you are ill, or there's a belief you can come back to full healing. And that's night and day. And so, my idea would be like, if you look at somebody with a terminal illness, okay, right, you have it, they say you're going to die. You can either believe that or not, but if you can remove that belief and empower yourself to, I want to stay and I can heal myself, you're giving yourself an infinitely better chance of succeeding in that rather than not, because otherwise you're giving yourself very little opportunity.
Yeah. I agree with you, Matt. And what Bankston said during the workshop I took with him is he has found, or at least back then he had found, his technique was more successful with people who did not have chemo, because his technique was aligned with life and chemo was aligned with death. And he said a bunch of other things there, but that actually has stuff in common with them in Jungian philosophy, and even Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality philosophy. And that book is a great mystery school, which we can get into for a little bit, of this polarity of life and death, of complexity and growth and entropy and ending. And it's interesting because in the original Harry Potter series, Dumbledore was like, accept death, it's natural, it's an adventure, it's okay. But as we pop out and look at souls and look in our consensus world outside of fictions, even if they're good transmissions, we see the immortal yogis, we see Babaji, we see these people who, like Yukteswar, may leave a body, may create a new body, and are so in tune not only with our immortality as a soul, but our mastery over the physical world, that these bodies become just another thing that we can use or discard or transform as we want. And healing is a bridge, I feel. I had a sprained ankle once, and it was, it hurt for 5 weeks. I had several grade 2 sprains in the past, one requiring a cast. And, it hurt for so long. And I'm just like, okay, screw this, I can heal it. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. I put my hand on it. I did Bankston's technique, and it took a few minutes, and then it was fine. And the next day I was sitting in Zazen with the ankle bended under itself, and I was fine, which could not have even begun to enter that position, 2 days prior. But, why stop there? Literally, why stop there?